Today, I'm making something as an alternative to a big turkey for your holiday meal. If you're having a small gathering, try this, a spatchcock chicken. It's really wonderful, it's got some great seasonings, and it's oh so delicious. And I'll show you just how to make it. Alright, the first thing we need to do is to spatchcock the bird. So I've got a 3 or 4 pound chicken, a medium-sized roasting chicken, and we're going to simply remove the backbone using our kitchen shears. So these are heavy-duty shears, and you see the little nib there. We're just going to start down one side, and we're just going to cut through the bone all the way to the top, through that skin, and we'll do the same to the other side. Now we're not going to throw the spine away. We are going to actually use it, we're going to reserve it to help make our jus. So there is the spatchcocked bird. And there's one thing you have to do, and that is to break the breastbone. So turn it over, and you're just going to press down firmly. And that's broken now. And that lays flat. So the first thing we need to do is brine, a dry brine, and we're going to keep that in the refrigerator for at least 8 hours, preferably overnight. And we've got two types of brine. We've got a brine of sea salt mixed with baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, which we're going to use to rub all over the skin, which will help make that skin very crispy. For the inside of the bird, we just have sea salt. So I'm going to start with the inside, the flesh side, and I'm going to use salt and just rub all over the flesh. Now it may seem like a lot of salt, but again, it's used to keep the bird moist, actually. So I want to make sure all that flesh is salted. Okay? And now I'm going to turn that over. And now we're ready for our sea salt and baking powder mixture. So I'm just going to spread that over. Just going to rub that all over that skin, making sure we get all around it. And once that's done, once we've got it all coated, nearly there, get those wings. Okay. Once that's in, I'm going to pat that in, and that is just going to sit in the refrigerator overnight. Okay. With the magic of video, we'll come on to actually adding our herb butter rub next. Join me in just a second. Okay, we brined the chicken, and it has been brined overnight, a dry brine, and today we will roast it. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to make our rub for it. And I'll just go through the ingredients for the rub. We've got softened butter, that's room temperature, unsalted, rosemary, which I picked from my window box, thyme from the window box, and some sprigs of sage. I also have, well, that's really it, salt and pepper. I don't think I'm going to need the salt and pepper, but that's going to go in the rub. The rest of the ingredients are actually for the jus. which we're going to make. Remember, we reserved that backbone from the chicken. That's it chopped up. We're going to saute that in some olive oil, along with diced onion, celery, and this kind of sorry red bell pepper. But I hate to waste food, so we're going to use the red bell pepper, sweet pepper. So it's a bit like a Louisiana Holy Trinity. Instead of carrot, we've got the bell pepper. And if any of you from Louisiana disagree with me, let me know in the comments, okay? So I've got chicken stock, which is also going to go for that jus. And depending on the drippings that come off the chicken, we may deglaze with a little white wine. Otherwise, it's for me. It's a nice dry Chardonnay. So, okay. We'll get started with making the herb butter. So in that goes. Just set these aside while I chop up my herbs. So just roll those together. That's the sage. I'm just going through the leaf, trying to avoid any heavy stem, any woody stem. If you do hit some woody stem, you just pluck it out. It's not a big deal. And now I'm going to strip back the rosemary. So we definitely avoid that woodiness of the rosemary. And a bit more. And I think that's probably enough of the rosemary. And all I'm going to do is pull that all together and run my knife through everything again, including the rosemary that we've just added. So that's going to be very, very small, very fine together. I think I'll switch knives, a little bigger knife for this job so I can rock it. I'm just rocking that back and forth, move things out of the way. So I'm just rocking that back and forth through the herbs. To get that very fine. Okay, that's the sage and the rosemary. The fragrance is beautiful. And I have some thyme, again from my window box, and I'm just going to pick those leaves from my thyme, and in that goes. And it's just beautiful, beautiful, fragrant thyme. And for me, at the holiday, those fresh herbs, I mean, I know a lot of people can't get them and you need to use dry, but if you can use fresh, it is so worth it. It is really worth the effort. And if you have the ability to have a little window box or a little garden even, then there you go. I love a herb garden, a kitchen herb garden. Right, so I'm just going to take a little wooden spoon. I've got my wooden spoon, and I'm just going to push all of that together. Now you remember we dry brine the chicken, and this is going to go under the skin. So I've got some salt here, maybe just a little bit, and I'm going to just put in some freshly cracked black pepper. Into that rub. And that, my friends, is the extent of it. So now, I want to just make a little space so I can bring out our chicken that's been brining, and we'll add the rub to that. So just a second, I'm going to clear some room, and we'll do that. Okay, I've made some room. I have our brine chicken, and what I'm going to do is just use my hand and separate the skin from the breast underneath. As you probably know, the breast has the least fat. So that's where we're going to add our rub under the skin and over the breast to keep them moist. So there. And then it's just taking your herb butter and working that under the skin. Work that all the way down. On both breasts. I think we're going to use everything we made, which is good. If there's anything left, I'll toss that in the bottom of the tray that this will roast on. So there we have our bird with its rub on the breast, and it's now ready to go in a very hot oven, 450 or 500 if you can, and it's going to roast there for 40 to 45 minutes, maybe a little longer, until you use a thermometer in the thigh, which would be 160. What is that in Celsius? I don't remember. But I will tell you again. So we're going to make sure that this bird is cooked. All right. So I'm now going to just stick that on a wire rack on a high-sided tray, the same that I did for brining it. And that will go into a very hot oven. And we'll check on it in 40 minutes. In the meantime, we'll start making our jus. All right, so while the chicken is roasting, I'm just going to start on our jus, and I'm going to start with the onion. Just chop that up. Giving it a fairly fine dice. It really doesn't matter because we're going to strain out the veggies at the end. This is really just to flavor everything. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of olive oil. And while that's coming up to temperature, I'm going to finish with chopping the celery. I'm just going to split that there. And get rid of the end. Now you can keep the end if you like. It doesn't hurt it. In fact, I will keep it because, as I said, we're going to strain out the cooked vegetables at the end. We're just chopping these to a relatively similar size so that they cook pretty much evenly. So that's it hot, and turn that down. And then I'm just going to add in my chicken, the chicken thigh. I'm just going to let that start to brown off. Get my pepper. So what we'll do, once I get some nice color, we add in the onions, the celery, and the sweet pepper. And I'll grate in a little bit of garlic as the temperature cools. We don't want to burn the garlic. There are my chopped vegetables. Let's check on the chicken. You can see that's starting to brown. I'm just going to brown that off because it adds flavor. A little while longer. I want to use it up. So something like this, which is almost beyond its best, add it to a stock. Add it to a sauce. You're going to strain it out. I wouldn't serve it, but certainly for adding flavor, color, fragrance, there's nothing wrong with it. All right, just going to add our onion and celery, some of our red pepper, our sweet bell pepper, so I can finish chopping the rest. And as those are starting to color and become translucent, then we're going to add our chicken stock. I think that's enough. I have my wooden spoon, and I'm just going to make sure those are getting cooked. The onion will become translucent. While it's cooking down, I'm taking my garlic and just cutting off the ends, giving it a quick peel. Because we've added the vegetables, the temperature inside that pot has reduced, has gone down. So there's no longer any danger of burning the garlic. So I'm just going to grate that directly in. And you just want to cook that for a very short time. When it becomes fragrant, which only really takes a few seconds, that's when you want to add your stock. Okay. I'm going to add a pinch of salt and some cracked black pepper. And finally, 2 bay leaves. I'm just going to let that cook. If it comes up to a boil, I'll reduce that and let that simmer. And once the vegetables have become mushy, given up all their flavor to the stock, and the bones from the spine also imparting their flavor, that's when we'll strain it. So that'll take, probably 10-15 minutes of cooking now. And then we are able to strain it. So I'm going to clear up and get ready to show you the next step. We have finished cooking the vegetables to get the jus and the bones from the chicken. And I'm now going to just strain that in this lovely sieve. I'm just going to press that to get out every bit of flavor and juice that we can. I did add a splash of of white wine into that while it was cooking to cook it through. If we have drippings from the chicken roasted in the oven, then I will deglaze that and add that to this before we reduce it. Just going to get the rest of this out of the pan. Okay. I mean, you should be able to smell this. It really smells rich, and even though there's no butter, it smells buttery, and just, whoops, that is just really good. I want you to see that broth and the color of it. So we will reduce that by half or maybe 2/3, but we'll do that after the chicken comes out of the oven. So join me then. All right, our chicken has been in the oven for about 35 minutes. So I am just reducing this jus, and it's just boiling vigorously, and I'm just keeping an eye on it because we don't want the pan to, oil dry. That is not what we're after. We just want to reduce the volume by 2/3, intensifies the flavor, and then we'll add some cold butter to give it a nice silky, shiny finish. I did taste the jus before bringing it to a vigorous boil, and it has the perfect amount of salt. So again, remember to taste part way and adjust your seasonings as needed. So that is just starting to reduce. It's going to take a little while, and when that's at nearly where we want it to be, I'll come back and we'll add the butter. Okay, that's coming off the heat, and that has thickened beautifully. And I'm just going to add the butter without splattering myself. And that's just going to melt gently into the sauce, giving it a nice shine and finish. And here again, we want to check for a final seasoning, see if there's any adjustment that's needed. That is beautiful, rich. I can taste the onion, a bit of the celery, and it's just fantastic. So I have a little jug, and I'm just going to pour that right in the jug. So there we have our jus. Now all we need is our chicken. I'll be right back. Here's our roast chicken, our spatchcock chicken. I'm just going to check internal temperatures. We're looking for 150 at the breasts, 160 internal temperature in the thighs. That's about 75 for the internal temperature in Celsius. And we're there. So now I'm just going to let this rest for 10-15 minutes before we cut it up, because that way all of those juices just go back into that flesh, and it should be succulent, tender, wonderful, and the smell is just amazing. So in magic of video, 15 minutes will go by in a blink of an eye. and we'll be back. Okay, our chicken has come out and it has settled, and we're just going to carve it up. And oh my goodness, that is fantastic. Take the other leg and just cut so easily. And look at that. Oh, the skin. I have to try it. Oh my God. That's great flavor. You can serve them like that, or you can just cut through. He says, there we go, cut through. Someone can have their drumstick, and someone can have the thigh. And just look at that. Look how moist that is. You can see the steam coming off of it still. Oh my God. It's so juicy. Now we'll get our breasts. I'm just going to follow along. Get that breast off. I'm not the best carver, but here we have the breast, and you can also do the same and have the breast as well. And you can see the herbs under it. And I tell you, I think I'll be eating this all week. Well, thank you for joining me today at Gary's Urban Larder. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for spatchcock chicken. Make sure to subscribe if you're not a member already. Share this video with your friends and give us a thumbs up. And remember to hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single recipe. We'll see you next time. Bye.